And welcome back to another episode of Chalk Talk here on SteelersDepot.com. I am Alex Kozora, and I know we've talked about this a lot, but I want to do this one more time to the video, talking about what the Steelers could or should do with that 22nd pick. By the time you see this video, it will be draft day on Thursday. Very exciting. So I've kind of mentioned it before, but I've isolated 8 players that could be in the Steelers' interest. And here are the names here. We'll go through them real quick. Bud Dupree, the outside linebacker from Kentucky. Marcus Peters, the corner from Washington. Byron Jones, the corner from Connecticut. Kevin Johnson, the corner from Wake Forest. Other positions, Brandon Sheriff, the guard tackle from Iowa. Lael Collins, the guard tackle from LSU. Landon Collins, the strong safety from Alabama. And Eddie Goldman, the nose tackle from Florida State. I think right off the bat, if Bud Dupree is there at 22, I sprint to the podium and I take him. And he'd be the only guy I think about trading up for. I ultimately probably wouldn't do it, but he's the only guy I'd even entertain and think about, could I trade up for Bud Dupree? The only guy. But I probably wouldn't do it, and he's not going to be there at 22. So we'll eliminate him from the list. Same with Brandon Sheriff. In my own personal mock, I think I have him going in the top 10. It'd be very surprising if he fell all the way to 22. So we'll eliminate him as well. Eddie Goldman, who I really like a lot, and I think is going to be a great nose tackle in this league and moves very well for 336 pounds, is an underclassman, and he did not visit the Steelers. So logically, if the Steelers are going to take an underclassman, he's going to be someone that visited. So I think Eddie Goldman is safe off the board. Though I would personally wouldn't mind the pick, even though I've always been a big Steve McClendon fan. So now you're really left with 5 picks here, and you have to ask yourself, should we take a corner in the first round? How much do we value the position? Has anything changed under Keith Butler and our philosophy in our own current roster? Because obviously you're bucking a pretty big trend by taking a cornerback in the first round, something that has not been done since 1997 with Chad Scott. If you don't want to go that route, if Lael Collins does fall, you could have a potentially even plug-and-play left guard. Or at worst, Ramon Foster, this will be his last year with the Steelers, last year of his contract, and then you put Collins in at left guard next year. And then Landon Collins, a strong safety, depending on how you evaluate Shamarko Thomas, who I've said is not on scholarship anymore. When they traded up for him, that was 3 years ago. And things have changed. And it might not be the most fair thing for Shark, but that's how the league works. So I think now you're down to 5. I think ultimately what wins out is the talent, what the Steelers always look at in the first round. It's going to lend itself to cornerback. You guys know my thoughts on this. Again, I do say Marcus Peters is still more talented and better on tape than Byron Jones. But if the off the field does concern you, and it will concern pretty much any team, that'll at least be the thought in the back of their head, Byron Jones is clean off the field with a great family, a great background, a very high character kid no one says a bad thing about. So I think these are the 5 it might come down to. Again, I might even throw in Eric Rowe. I didn't want to put him in there because I didn't want the whole discussion to be about Eric Rowe. I just have that sinking feeling that he could be in that discussion as that cornerback safety hybrid teams covet today, a guy that can get vertical and find the football very, very well. But I think those are probably the 5. And again, if it went to me, as I said before, you take talent, and that's Byron Jones, the cornerback out of UConn, who again has the size at 6 foot, 200 pounds, 32-inch arms, who ran great, jumps out of the gym. He's this guy that has good tape as well, quick feet, low in his initial bend, can find the football, is pretty physical, has your strength to get tackles down, something Kevin Johnson does struggle with. High character kid, like I mentioned, so I find very few negatives in Byron Jones' case. But I think those would probably be the 5 that you're going to look at on draft day. But you never know. The draft is full of surprises. We come in, saying we're confident. I'm not confident. No one should be confident because we know once the draft starts, the chaos begins as well. I want to thank you guys for watching and get ready for the draft. We'll definitely have all the coverage throughout this weekend and after the draft as well with Dave Stuff, Matthew, Chris, myself, Lucas. So it'll all be great content as we get you ready for the draft, and now that it's finally here, talking about the things that actually happened and the speculation. So thank you guys for watching here on SteelersDepot.com.